Hi, everyone. This is the Inventors Roundtable, January 27th, 2025. So our Virtual East meeting, and we have got a guest speaker tonight, Stephanie Bering-Hale. I'm never sure if I get those vowels right, but you can correct me. And I will let folks in while you introduce yourself, and then we'll let everybody introduce themselves to you.
Awesome. Well, my name is Stephanie. I work at Emerald Expositions, specifically on the ASD Market Week portfolio, which is one of my favorite shows that I've ever worked on. I've been in the trade show business for 15 years. And what makes it so unique is that it's very versatile. So we encourage all products to come through because we really do have all sorts of retailers, big, small, domestic, international. A lot of mom and pops come through, which is so great. It creates a different vibe, but it is an order writing show, and it's definitely a show for curious minds to see what's new and fresh in the marketplace so that they can introduce it to their consumers. So excited to be here tonight, excited to hear what you have all created. And for those that are coming to ASD, how we can best guide you so that you can make the most of your time, because time is valuable.
It is, one of the things that we talked about on radio today with Michael Miller, who has done hundreds of trade shows, is, you have got, 30 to 60 seconds to make your impression. So you always start out with what problem did you solve and how did you solve it? That's what gets their attention, or it helps you to move on to your next, potential victim. Because we don't want you wasting time with, and no offense to spouses, but if there's a spouse there and it's the, other side of that relationship that does the business and they're just walking around to see what's fun, you need to move on and find out, what. Now, if they are married to, if you say, what brings you to the show? Oh, my husband owns an Ace Hardware and you've got a new hammer. You want to get their name and say, oh, please bring him over. So, there's always ways to maneuver that. But for everybody who's just getting started, you're kind of getting teed up. Your goal is to get to ASD Market Week in 2026. All right. So you kind of gear that. If you're already selling, then you can still sign up and go with us. So with that kind of introduction for everybody, we are going to let you guys introduce yourselves. So Jeff, why don't you, since you're in the top left corner, unmute yourself if you can and introduce yourself, because you are going to ASD. Jeff. All right. Let's go with Alba. Yeah, there you go.
Is that me?
That's you. I see Facebook Alba. Fika book. You tell us your name, introduce yourself. Help me out here.
Yeah, that's my Facebook user's name. Anyway, my name is Victor.
There you go. That was easier. Why doesn't that show up on the
Try to stay anonymous. First time attending one of these meetings. I live in California, Orange County. And what else can I say? Well, I intend to license a product that I'm working on. And that's the reason why I wanted to attend this meeting. I didn't know you record them, which would have been a lot better because I had to leave work earlier today to be able to join. But anyway, that's fine. And so, yes, nice to meet you all.
Well, it is nice to meet you as well. And it's, as you're going through this process, one of the things that we look for at ASD are potential licensees for different products. And last year we had folks that were getting offers for licensing when they were there. Some of them, got deals after the show was over because of acquaintances that we met there. So there was a lot of activity that went on and a lot of connections that were made. So that was good. Where are you in the process, Victor? Are you just getting started?
I would say yes. I'm just starting, yes, because okay. I still need to put together a prototype, as well as to file for a patent, provisional one, which I'm actually postponing intentionally until I'm ready to do it, because I understand you have limited time to go ahead and do the non-provisional application for us. So.
All right. Well, if you've got any questions about that, you give me a call. because I'm happy to sign a non-disclosure for me so you can tell me what you're working on. All right, Jeff, unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Gerhardt. I live out in Colorado and been working with Rita for a couple of years. I've got a product called Squeeze It. We're taking to the show next week or two. No, next month.
No, not next week. Don't do that to
Next
me.
month, yeah. I'll be there early for you.
These are on the right days, yeah.
Yeah. And I've got another patent I filed with Jonathan David, our attorney, that works with Rita. So, but we don't want to talk about that because I'm not sure it's really filed yet. So, but yeah.
All right, all right. Bill, Holly, introduce yourself because you're going to the show. Unmute yourself. Nope, you're still muted. All right, he'll be back. All right, Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Mike. In a few words, I take songs and I turn them into a art form, like a visual art form for little kids. So long story short, I use like a Lego alternative form of Lego. And yeah, there's like tiny pieces. And then I turn them into like one song is one square made up of little squares. And then it's really for little kids. You're talking here like ages like, not that you eat them, so 3+, but, somewhere in the kindergarten, grade 1 age. And yeah, my son, who's 6 years old, he tests everything I build. So I actually have been working on, there's a patent for it. There's a computer system where no mouse, no keyboard, you just punch in colors. The first few colors equals words, and then it pops out the whole song. So I'm a junior inventor here with patent in kids art, kids math, music art. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, Bill, we're ready for you.
Sorry about that. I hit the wrong thing and had to go back and join again. I'm Bill Holly. I developed a new hammer. The old one has been the same for ages and ages. And I sent one of my early prototypes to Rita, and she loved it. And I pressed on ahead and had some made. And every time I give it to some guy and he hands it to his gal, she loves the thing because, first of all, it has a different grip. It causes you to put the palm of the hand on a relatively flat surface, rotating the forearm 90 degrees toward the inside of the body so that you free up the wrist. And it also winds up giving you a little more accuracy and a little more power. And Rita has been very helpful in the process. And I thank her for the invitation to go to Las Vegas and looking forward to going there. But like so many other things, it's easy to say I'm going to Las Vegas to the ASD show, but then there's 100 different details that you got to take care of between here and there.
Yes,
and so I'm in the process of doing that.
Yes, you are, and you ask very good questions. So, Jesse, you want to introduce yourself? You need to unmute.
There we go. Can you
There
hear
you
me
go.
now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I'm just sort of hanging out. As you know, I'm working on a project that won't be in time for this year, but I always love attending your get-togethers because you're one of the most interesting directors or get-together persons of inventors.
Well, thank you. All right, we've got one more. Gerald, do you want to unmute and introduce yourself?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Gerald. I've been involved in inventing for a long time, mostly medical products, which I wouldn't want to disclose on here. But anyway, I'm 80 years old and I'm an electrical engineer. And I was just curious to see what this was all about because it was recommended to me by a friend of mine, David Lighthouser, who I thought would be attending, but I don't see him on here.
Well, and he's not in the waiting room for me to sign in. So I'll watch for him. He might be a little bit late. And so I have been taking inventors to different trade shows for almost 20 years now. You know, it's always fun to say I've been to the National Asphalt Show. There is a show for everything. And while it was fairly small and, you know, in a gymnasium, it was very successful for the inventor I went with because he had an asphalt product. One of the things that I recommend inventors do not do is go to an inventor trade show. All right. It is a feeding frenzy and you are the main course. It doesn't matter how expensive the suit is, the shark is still going to eat you. So we always recommend you go to a show for the industry you're in. And one of the reasons that we pick ASD is because there's so many consumer products. It's everything, you know, they say dustpans to diamonds. I like, you know, diapers to diamonds simply because, you know, we take a lot of baby products. But, you know, that said, there's, you know, the tools and the toys and the sporting goods and the camping goods and the kitchen gadgets and the, you know, tools and, you know, automobile and anything that you can imagine will be there. So for our inventors, especially those that, you know, don't want to go by themselves, don't really know, you know, Bill, you're not our only inventor who's, you know, 80 years old. We've been taking, you know, 80-year-olds for, you know, 15 years. But, you know, there's challenges when you are older and you don't want to work all day long. So how do you get some help? And that's what we do for the inventors, is to get you out there, get you some experience and get you the contacts, and that you've got a team to help you do that. So with that said, I'd like Stephanie to be able to talk more about ASD, because we've just fallen in love with ASD Market Week, and it's for a variety of reasons, you know, because it's such a diverse show, because we have Stephanie to help us, because they work with us to bring the new inventors to the marketplace. And a lot of the shows don't do that. We're the only innovator section. So, you know, when people want to see what's new in the marketplace, they come shopping in our area. And, you know, there were a lot of shows where if you say you're an inventor, they stick you off in, you know, up in, you know, Mars someplace. And, you know, it's like, oh, well, here's the innovators and nobody's allowed in there. And it's really crazy because you pay almost the same amount of money and nobody even knows where you are. And so that's the other thing I tell inventors is no, be on the main floor, pretend like you're a grown up, even if you aren't, and, you know, get your product out there. So Stephanie, take it away, my dear. I'm going to sit and listen and you tell everybody why ASD is so cool for everybody.
Well, I'm going to regress a little bit because I think you're all very familiar with Rita. And what I love about it is that she's really created a safe place for inventors to come together. Like she says, it's very scary. You've done all the hard work. The hard work is getting your invention, getting it settled. Now taking it to market, you don't want to be solo at this very beginning stage of entering the market. So by having you all underneath one pavilion, it allows us as a major show producer to market you. Rita's done a great job of making sure that we have visuals and we're putting it out to the market as we speak. It's going to be, a lot of them are featured in our vendor preview book, which is something that we created. It's just a digital guide of what's new and fresh on the floor and what booth locations they can be found at. That goes to over 200,000 attendees that we have in our database. Do they all attend ASD? No, right? But they get exposure to it. So you already have a good group that'll be there in person, but we do want to make sure that we do our due diligence and expose you to others that might have a birthday party, might be too sick to attend, or whatever personal, you know, reasons occur. So I think for ASD Market Week, just to go back on the vitality of it, we're very inclusive, which means we have, again, the mom and pop, we've got corporate America that comes through. So I would just say when you feature your item, everyone's there to do business and to learn more about the product that you have. So they're going to want to have good responses to their questions. So just make sure that you kind of take notes as you go along to say, okay, this has been a question that keeps coming up. How do I best respond to it? And maybe they might ask you for line sheets that you're not prepared for yet. So just kind of take it in with a grain of salt of these are industry leaders who've been in the business for a long time doing purchasing or licensing and other things. So just make sure you protect yourself, your brand, and just have answers to some of the questions. And if you don't, think about it, ask your peers that are also going to be in the pavilion of, hey, how do I respond to it? Go back to Rita. what do I do next time somebody comes up to me, right? And if you bomb the first person that talks to you, it's okay. They will not bite your head off. And I would just say, just keep going and keep it positive. You're passionate about your product, so let it stay, let it show.
Yeah, and what we do is we give you kind of the introductory line. What, you know, when you're talking to somebody else, what brings you to the show? And then they want to know, what problem did you solve? How did you solve it? And can it be made at a price the consumer is willing to pay for it? That's always going to be really critical. Their mind is already ticking. They don't need you to say, oh, this is how big the market is. If they're in your industry with, you know, looking at your product, they already know what the market space looks like in that industry. So when, you know, when you're talking to them, right down to the nitty gritty of, you know, what problem did you solve and how did you solve it? So the, you know, being able to show them that a sell sheet, we always do a sell sheet. So it's kind of, you know, those facts, bullet points that they can, you know, show you. And all right, I'm getting some feedback there. Anyway, the bullet points, people don't read a lot, and especially when they're walking through the show, down and dirty. Everybody's counting the minutes to get through the show, right, Stephanie?
They are on the move, and we always recommend. So I specifically work with all the retailers on the retail side, getting in buying groups, organizing them. But I always suggest that they go after their core market first, so that they can leave room to go exploring and see what product they can introduce and complement their existing merchandise that they have within their stores. So, Mike, I love your product because we have that sensory type of feeling for kids. In particular, we've got museums that come through. We've got a lot of toy companies. So I think that for you, you're going to find an assortment of retailers that maybe you aren't expecting to see. So I'm curious to see post-show what that looks like, and maybe we'll surprise you with the few that you never thought that your product could be good for them. So, but yeah.
So, and that is one of the things we found last year too, Stephanie, is that, you know, we had a lady there with a hot tub product, and she found out, you know, that everybody was looking at it, was just crazy about it. But a lot of them were thinking about it as far as therapy. So they were thinking the VA hospital, and, you know, it keeps you from floating to the top. Well, if you're supposed to be soaking in a hot tub to relax and you keep floating to the top, you're not really relaxing.
Yeah.
So she created this product that would hold you, you know, hold you into the water so you could relax and not keep floating to the top. So for therapy, that was one of the things that everybody was just going after. And so, you know, she went home and she had a whole bunch made and started selling them. And the interesting thing was that, you know, the spa stores, they didn't want to buy, you know, a dozen. They wanted to buy a pallet. And she was like, well, I got 2 pallets. You know, not really sure what to do with this. Place another order. But that all came out of ASD. It really did. She had a very good looking proof of concept prototype. She got a lot of really good suggestions. And by the, you know, within a year, she's got product made, shipments coming in, and orders to take. So it was a great show for her. And she didn't know. She was just an inventor going, is like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. How do I figure this out? And we're saying, this is what you say. This is how you do it. The other thing is I hire 5 people to work the show for you and with you. So they walk around with you. They teach you what to do. And that is all they do, is work the trade shows and represent the different buyers and vendors that are out there, sellers, I should say. And so that's what they've been doing for decades. So it's a really good place to be able to find folks out there. She's a friend of my ex-husband's wife, and so she does a really good job.
And it's always good. Make sure you've got your contact information ready. I can't tell you enough. There are exhibitors that come through and they don't do the follow-up, or they haven't gotten the contact information that they need to do that follow-up. So if you have LinkedIn or whatever your preferred method is, definitely utilize it. Make sure that you pass along your information. And I always like a cheat sheet. I always do a list of everyone who I've seen, and then I prioritize of those that make sense immediately that I want to make sure that I connect with as soon as we're done to do that follow-up. And then those that maybe we didn't vibe, but I can certainly go after I do the priority ones. And then the last ones are, I don't really think I can do business with them, but I will send them a note just so that I do my due diligence of reaching out.
And the other learning point that we've had over the years is you always take their information. If it's somebody that's interested in your product, you take their information, go and say, oh, I'll get together with you after the show. It's like, nope, they generally don't, and you don't remember who they are. So when you take their card, carry a little notebook in your pocket, write down their name. It is amazing how often they don't bring business cards with them. And you're going, what? Now what do I do? Make notes, take a notebook, because you know what? When you dump 50 business cards out of your pocket at the hotel that night, you're not going to remember who anybody is. And who was the good guy? Was it this Jack, or was it that Jack? You don't remember. So you always just take, a few seconds after you've talked to somebody, write down either in your notebook or on their card if they give you one, who they are, put a star if there's somebody you really want to, get in touch with afterwards, or it's like, oh, cool product, I'm going to go buy this product, but he's not going to be a buyer of mine. Otherwise, you just don't remember. Does anybody have any questions for Stephanie? Scott just checked in. Scott is going to the show. So we've got 3 folks here that are already signed up to go to the show. Scott has got a very cool product. So Scott, do you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody what you've got?
Sure. I can probably show them. It's right behind me. But I had a question for Stephanie, so let me take my question down.
Absolutely.
Stephanie, what type of pre-show work can we do, or pre-show research can we do?
So I can make your lives easier. If you're looking for specific types of retailers, you can just connect with me and send me a note and say, this is my target audience, and I can let you know who's going to be in attendance or who's comparable. Sometimes people say CVS, but I've got 8 other clients that would be equally probably better for you and your business. So for me, I would say personal reach out to myself so I can see who those targets are. We also have a mobile app, which is absolutely amazing. So everyone is connected, whether you're a buyer or you're a seller. I like to lean in on technology to make sure that I can filter and find buyers to set up appointments. So I would definitely recommend doing that. The mobile app should go live, I want to say, in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And if you have any issues logging in or navigating that, I believe that we're going to be doing a webinar on it, but I would think that would be your #1 source of pre-show work, of setting up those appointments so that okay, I've gotten 5 successful ones that said that they're going to come and see me. It makes you start to breathe a little bit easier and makes you feel a little bit more comfortable heading into the event.
Can I get your email address?
I will share it. I will go ahead and I'll get that out to you, Scott, and anybody else who wants her contact, so that you've got it and you can reach out to her. Jeff, you've got a question?
Hold on, read it real quick. Let me introduce my product to Stephanie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm an energy auditor, and I have a patent now on a product that I noticed an important use for. Some of the wind energy at night is being thrown away because we're all asleep, not using it. We're heating our homes with oil and gas. They'd like us to heat our homes with electric, but people don't like the idea. So I've created the world's first app-driven bed-warming body pillow.
Oh.
It's Snoodle. Snoodle will plug into the wall. He eventually will communicate to a thermostat and set it back so the homeowner can save money, and it would kind of switch the energy from oil and natural gas to electric, which will reduce pollution. Snoodle has a tail and an 8-hour controller. And I didn't want to make a stuffed animal for adults, but it's really cool to sleep with a furry warm pillow at night. So to the show, I'll be bringing a Snoodle plushie toy.
I love it.
A Snoodle dog chew toy.
I think of it as, a child would use it if their parents gone. The one thing that I always think of is a widow or widower who's just lost their spouse. That warmth, oh man, that can make a big difference. So no, I see some of those other uses for it that it might not be out there yet, but we were certainly going to be talking about it.
Yeah, Snoodle has some fun uses for him, and hopefully he'll get safety certified in the next few months and hit the market by storm.
Excellent.
I'm looking for mattress companies to partner with.
All right, Jeff, you've got a question?
Yeah, I did. I was the one was going to be I think what you answered. So we can join up with different vendors and see who they are, vendors of interest for us. Like I have a tool basically. So, it's So I'd want to be talking to people like, who knows, is it going to be Ace hardware there or Ames tools or those types of things. And the other question is, in the private room that we have, is there a presentation capability? Do we have the ability to like hook up a laptop and
Yes.
do something?
Yes, we'll be able to, have some, basically a private room. So you'll be able to go in there, you'll be able to do some work, you'll be able to do a presentation, you'll be able to set up a meeting. It's the first time we've ever had access to this. So Stephanie, we are really grateful that you guys are giving us the private room. We can go, like I said, have meetings, do demos, you just have like, Bill is a little bit older. He wants to be able to just go sit down and take a deep breath. He can do that. There's plenty of room. So we'll be able to, do those things. As far as, electric, we do not have 40 private, electric boxes for you to plug into. I was telling Bill this today. It's like, but we've got the strips and we do get the electricity and everybody shares and we've got plenty of strips. I've never had anybody say, oh, gee, I can't find an electrical outlet. We always have plenty of them.
Okay.
Devin, we've got some great retailers. I don't know if you're thinking of doing any international business, but we've got one company in Saudi Arabia. It's called SACO, SACO. They specifically love tools. They're very open. They spend a lot of time. They're usually there for the full 4 days just because they don't want to miss anything. So I will definitely let them know that they need to stop at the pavilion because there's things that might pique their interest.
Okay. And if I get Rita sends out your email address, then we'll get that.
Yeah, and as Stephanie sends us, connections like for the app and everything, I will make sure that I get that sent out to you. I'm sending out an email usually about once a week with updates now.
Perfect.
All right. Anybody else have a question?
I had a question. I'm actually quite new to the whole scene. I'm coming more from like teaching computer science to kids and more like the teaching role. What's really going through the mind when it comes to like a toy company or a toy manufacturer? Are there like a few things that are at the forefront of their mind when they meet some crazy inventor?
The top of mind for a lot of them is they're trying to stay in business and they're trying to generate profits. So they're open to buy comes up a lot. They have a preset plan before they enter any kind of market, especially when it's an order writing market. So I would say you want to have your pitch very solid and they need to see the why. They need to see that you can offer a product that solves something that's of value that they think that they can in turn make consumers that frequent their store happy. Maybe it's clickable bait that they can put on their social sites that are great. So I would say if you can demo, put hands on, get it in front of them, put it into their hands, have them look at it, get them piqued with their interest. But I think the more touch and feel, right, that's the face-to-face opportunity. But again, you have a limited time. So you don't want to slowly draw out what your product is. You want to be able to say like quick to the punch, this is it. And this is why it would be good for you after you ask them what kind of store they have to make sure they're even an appropriate fit.
And Mike, I think you said you wanted to license. Did you say you wanted to license?
To be honest, I have sort of like a math equation and now a provisional patent.
Okay.
Where I'm getting weird advice. So this is actually very hands-on practical advice. I've like a Chinese friend is like, well, why are you doing English language songs? Katy Perry, Taylor Swift. Could you do Chinese songs? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to get into I'm like, that's a crazy idea, but I think these are American vendors from American stores with American music. So I'm not selling in China. And he's like, but you could. And I'm like, no, I'm trying very hard to focus on just the basics here. So I guess a small follow-up question. Is it best to just focus on one, very specifically like one area, one country, one language? Or are we supposed to be like all over the place with like, sell it anywhere?
All over the place. So with that said, though, there's caveats. All right. You focus on feet on the ground in America. That's what you focus on. But your patent should not be language country specific. And so when, that way, then if you end up licensing it, all right, they can make it and sell it anywhere. So I always tell inventors, that you've got, say, well, it could be blue or yellow or red or black or whatever. It's like, no, focus on one color. Let's get one color out there. And then, they can, whoever licenses can make it in any color, any size, any set of numbers. So it's kind of the same thing with yours, is that your patent covers any language. A licensee could do it anywhere, and you've protected then, their rights. So if you've got any other questions you want to ask that are, kind of about that, and you want to ask it privately, just give me a call. All right. More than happy to,
thank you.
Answer
Thank
questions
both
for you.
Stephanie and the wise Dr. Inventor Lady, who goes by her nice nickname.
That is what I have been doing for 20 years, Mike, is, answering questions and getting people on the right track. And, they can say, no, do it this way, not that way. And, but you want to protect as much as you can. And so a patent is never size specific, material specific, in your case, language specific, or industry. So if your technology can be used, the overlap that we see frequently is surgeries and car engine tools. It's amazing how you got to get around a little thing in a car engine, and you got to get around a little thing in the human body. All right. So there's a lot of overlap in that. A good patent is not industry specific. All right. It goes with something like, but not limited to. And so, I saw yours kind of made out of a Lego version there, but, you could make it out of Play-Doh too. And you don't want it material specific, size specific. No specifics. A patent is very broad. No specifics.
The goal, yes. So yeah, just reflecting that back, the goal is as broad as possible.
Exactly.
But you start with one trade show in one country before, starting small and then understand, get one's feet wet. Yeah, it's my first time ever going to anything such like this. I was even nervous to speak here, but you got me to pull me out of my cocoon. So
no, and this is a great one because, like Stephanie said, there's so many industries that are involved, and we're going and teaching everybody. Jeff has been to the trade show before with us. Scott has been. Bill has not been. And so, you get to go and you can talk to people who are in the same boat you are, just trying to learn. You can talk to people who have been there before, and they've just taken the next stage of their prototypes to it. So, they're looking for licensing. They're looking for help manufacturing. They're just presenting. A few have inventory. So they're looking at making sales. And for a lot of them, it was the licensing. We've got one lady who was with us last year. She is now in negotiations for licensing to an international company. It's a jewelry box. Who would have thought? They've been around forever, and she has got a really cool new one, and they are so excited to get their hands on this. But
Mike, and have fun, be playful. The trade shows are a lot of work. People are on that floor. Sometimes you just being friendly and playful goes a long way, where people are like, oh, I want to interact and I want to engage with you. So you've got a perfect item to do it. Scott, you do too. I freeze out my poor husband every night. He would definitely be in contention for that pillow because he could wave, and I want the windows open. I'm like, let the air flow. So you can have fun with it to create that engagement and make sure that people not only come, but we've got buying groups. We have a Southwest buying group where there's different gift shops like a Hallmark and stuff like that. You want that group to talk because they'll take pictures, or they'll say, hey, you got to go to this booth. You got to go check out this item. My mind was blown. Talk to Scott or talk to Bill, so definitely don't be monotone. Have some fun.
Absolutely. So Bill, you've got a question.
Well, first of all, I had to chuckle about the use of things in other areas. The folks who are orthopedic surgeons use some of the same tools that home builders use. But the main reason I raised my hand was Stephanie's comment about Sacco. Do they deal with high-end tools, hand tools, or do you have an idea more specifically?
They do it all. So they have like mega stores. So when I say they have a little bit of everything, they've got their high end, their mid tier, and they're just starting to do a little bit of introduction to some of like the newer, more affordable options. But there's somebody that would be great for your hammer. I've seen your hammer. As a woman, I'm going to probably buy your hammer wherever I can find it in a retail store. But yes, that's somebody that would be of interest to you as well, I think.
All right. Do folks like Sacco usually let me go back and untie my tongue. To deal with somebody like Sako, would I need an international patent? I do not have one yet.
Oh, that is,
I don't know, Rita.
yeah.
Well, let me pose the question differently. If they were interested in my hammer, would they be more likely to give me a purchase order, or would they be more likely to license, or something totally different from that?
And that is why we recommend you file a PCT. And certainly, Mike, we would be recommending that you file that too. We'll explain those things to you, later. You're still in the provisional stage, so your time frame is good. Bill, yeah. So the PCT is that patent cooperation treaty. It's that international filing that allows you then to pick which country. So then you say, oh, this country is going to be my major buyer. You would want to have filed in that country. And so, a lot of times for licensing or major markets, without it, all right, they're not obligated to buy your product. They could copy your product and sell it in every country but the US. So holding them accountable to a licensing deal is certainly harder. It just is. We look for companies to license who have feet on the ground where it's patented. And we've got a gentleman who is going to the show, and his international will be filed like on the day of the expiration of his opportunities to file. And so the attorney is just lined up and waiting to get the final copy of his non-provisional so that he can file the international.
Yeah. If I may, while we're talking about my hammer, the one you have is the one I describe as standard. I have another one that is slightly smaller that I describe as petite. And then I have a standard hammer, the 16-ounce head and a 13-inch handle, and then one slightly smaller than that. That last two are in the pipeline. I'm undecided. I've started this thing with the handle pink, and I'm almost tempted to just stay with pink even when I begin to produce a man's product. Now I see you smile, but I have no clue, which would be better, the blue handle for the standard size hammer, the 16-ounce head, etc., or whether I could stay with pink and do equally well. Any comment?
Yes. Stop doing the pink.
Stop doing the pink.
Yeah. All right. And I don't care if you do pink or not. I'm just saying that for your sales, all right, you don't want to get triggered out the door as being only for women. Pink says you are for women. And years ago, I had some guys, they went out the door with a fishing product. They were late in the season. So they went out with the idea that they could use it for ice fishing. They got tagged as being an ice fishing product, and they never sold it in the summertime because everybody thought it was for ice fishing. Don't label yourself as being pink right now. If you want to do pink later, do blue, do yellow. It doesn't matter to me. Red, I don't care, but stay away from the pink. It labels you. And it could be a very unintentional label. Your handle could be used for men, women, old, young, kids, anybody. Don't label yourself.
Well, I appreciate the feedback, and I'll go back to my original idea, which is to make the more petite ones pink and make the bigger ones blue.
There you go. If you're just hooked on pink,
Bill, you know what I love you bringing this up though, because that's another thing. You go to major trade shows because the people that purchase it are going to tell you exactly what they like and what they don't like. So you're going to get market research done directly within those 4 days that you're going to have a real good idea of what's going to make your product fly off the shelves, right, and be the most successful. So I would say that that's a great topic to bring up. And outside of Sako, which is international, we specialize in general merchandise goods. So the type of retailers that come through that would probably be good matches for your product, spot on. So you're in good hands. And that maybe the international portion that's not my immediate priority list. That's something that I'll dive into the future. I first want to establish myself in the US because I have more control, closer to home kind of mentality. So those are good things for you to kind of in your mind say, how do I want this business and where do I see it and envision it within the next 6 months to a year and kind of map that out.
I appreciate those comments, and it's consistent with what I'm doing. I have a man who's working on a selling site for me at Amazon. not making a whole lot of progress, not what I had hoped, but making some. And I've got another man who is working on a website for me. I hope to have those done by the time ASD show comes around.
Perfect.
I do. I want a link to put up there for you. But in the meantime, if you license it, or your main seller is in the US to start with, and they start selling internationally for you, they're going to help you watch that. You can't stop another country from making it and selling it internationally, but you can stop them from shipping into the US.
Right.
And so that's what you want to target. And if
What's your brand name on Amazon?
What's my brand name on that? It's My Modern Hammer.
So they're going to be aware of the issues. If you get to if you haven't missed your options, you might want to rethink that PCT.
I'm fumbling, but this is it.
My Modern
I
Hammer.
recently launched on Amazon myself.
Yep. I've got I've started posting what I have from all of you guys who are going. You're up on the dashboard and everything already. So anybody else have questions for Stephanie?
I had another
Go ahead, Mike.
beginner level question here. If I'm just good at the sort of behind the scenes computer science, and I'm not yet, I guess, such a salesman marketer, do you think licensing of the patent to is really the best route, and then I can just focus on something else that I'm good at? Or
yes, exactly. For a lot of inventors, that's why they go to the show. They want to find potential licensees. And so if a store would come up to you and they say, oh God, we'd love to place an order, it's like, well, I'm looking to license. Who provides you with these types of products? Because then they are a first hit for the potential of licensing, because they've already got a buyer. And that's what a licensee wants. They want to know they're going to be able to sell the product. And so when a buyer, a retailer of the product steps up and says, oh, would love to place an order. That was where Wendy happened to get to with her spa product, was that people wanted to buy it. She wants to license it. She did do a short run on it, but her total goal is to license it to somebody else who's going to make it, sell it, and send her a check. But the other big thing is when you license it, all right, the licensee will fight an infringement. And for a lot of inventors, that is the big one, because the gentleman who, and Mike, you might know this product, who did a bunch of balloons.
Yeah.
Very cool product. His name is Josh Malone. I went to Capitol Hill with him to talk about the PTAB and the inventing process. I met him, all his kids. He told me how he ended up coming up with it. They would all want to do water balloon fights, and he's out there filling up water balloons, and they've all gone in for dinner. And he goes, there has got to be a better way to do water balloons. So he came up with a bunch of balloons. He licensed it to the toy company. And when he was knocked off, the toy company went after them, and they won the lawsuit. But it cost them $20 million to fight the lawsuit. They won 50 million in the process. Took them 5 years.
Yeah.
Josh goes,
no.
I couldn't have done that.
I keep seeing this online. Or sorry to interrupt. I keep seeing this online where it's like, because it's a toy and because it doesn't seem so sophisticated. I was concerned a bit about, okay, a patent's one thing, but I don't have like $10 million to fight a behemoth, David versus Goliath. So thank you.
Exactly. And his the toy company that had licensed it was in New Zealand, but he had filed internationally, Bill. So when he licensed it to them, he had filed the PCT, so it gave him a chance then to go ahead and file in New Zealand, so they were protected there. And it gave him something then to fight with when they went after Telebrands for the infringement. But for a lot of inventors, that's the big lifting. And then they also pay for the product liability insurance. So for a lot of inventors, you get to still do the fun things. You can go to different trade shows, and sell the product. You always get to participate in the development of the product. And so anything new that comes in and you control the intellectual property, that's what gives you leverage. And they do everything else. Make it, package it, ship it, market it, cover the infringement issue, and pay for product So for a lot of inventors, that's the big thing.
So maybe just to still at the ABC beginner level here. The goal of the inventor, the inventive process as a whole, it's best to focus on that real uniqueness and perfecting it, not worrying so much about the price point of manufacturing or the marketing material. It's like not like 100% of the energy should be perfecting the invention itself, maybe, or
not exactly. All right. So when you guys, when you invent something, you've got to know that as you're going through the process, one, you can file a patent. There's a lot of things that people are working on you can't file. Maybe something was filed decades ago, and now it's part of the public domain, and you can't file anything more. Well, you don't want to spend a lot of time and money and energy, mental power, doing something that you couldn't file. Well, then you want to get filed, right? But you need to know that you can make it at a price the consumer will pay for it. And that's where a lot of people, they file for the patent issues, and they still can't make it at the right price. The patent expires, technology changes, and now nobody can file a patent on that, but people can make it like crazy. So, you've got to kind of pay attention to that. All right. It's complicated, never easy, but there's things you can do to help mitigate the anxiety. All right. Bill, you got another question?
Well, I wanted to tag on to what you said, because initially you have to do that. I think you have to say, this is my idea, and I'm going to put some energy and some money and some time into it. But occasionally you need to look around at the bigger world, and my own history in invention is littered with failures. And sometimes you look around and something that seems really good turns out. One of my most dismal failures, but fortunately one I pulled the plug on early, was dieters, silverware, and tableware. And you'll get the idea when I tell you that the soup spoon had a hole in the bottom. Yeah, the soup spoon had a hole in the bottom, and everything else was like that. And it was silverware and tableware for dieters. And I thought, I love that idea. Who would give that even as a spoof joke, though? Yeah, because it would be insulting to the person who received it. And once I realized that, then I began to put my energy in something else. And I know that's a foolish kind of thing, a foolish kind of product, but I think it makes the point. Yes, you need to focus on your invention, but you've also got to poke your head up and take a look around at the bigger world now and then.
Yeah. And you look at, what impact is it going to have in your industry? So, you can invent something that is very simple that has a big impact on an industry. A flashlight is a light coming out of the end of the stick. All right, well, there's a lot of flashlights out there that still have something patent pending on them, or covered by a patent. But the guy that invented the flashlight that wraps around a pole, still a light coming out of the end of the stick, but a game changer, because now you don't have to hold the flashlight in your mouth to use both hands. Very cool. Very simple, very straightforward, and everybody is thinking, oh, I'll take one of those. So there are times that we see, a new invention is a very simple improvement. It's like, well, why didn't somebody else think of that? And it just happened to be, fall in your lap at the right time, at the right moment, and you're off to the races. So you never know. Stephanie, you want to wrap things up as far as how awesome ASD is?
I think we've gotten some great questions in. I'm very excited for all of you that are going to be able to join us in March. It's beautiful out in Vegas, so I hope that you bring good walking shoes. You're ready to eat and network and just enjoy the process. For those that aren't coming, we hope to see you in the future, but we're here. We've got sales team. We've got me on the buying team. We're all here to support, because we could not have this show if we didn't have people like you. So congratulations on the projects that you've done. You should feel very proud of yourselves. It is a very hard thing to do. I always call inventors the elite, because a lot of people have an idea and that's as far as it goes. So the fact that you've been able to do something and you're at this point in the process, it's pretty amazing. So we're excited to have you here for whatever you need. I know you're in good hands too. Rita's 1 in a million. So I think it's a good group of peers to be heading out.
So, well, and like Stephanie always says, you know, everybody knows what's already out there. They want to come to our booth because they want to see what's coming. And so with that, guys, you know, if you are, you know, good job on, you know, Jeff and Bill and Scott for, you know, getting teed up. Mike, if you've got questions, give me a call. Victor, if you've got questions about those early stages in the process, give me a call. And Jesse, doggone it, get out there with you know, your guys and Leo and Dawn and say, hey, we got to get some people over to ASD. So with that, guys, like I said, I'm easy to find. Give me a call if you need me. And Stephanie, thanks so much for your time tonight. I look forward to having you on the radio again. And for anybody who hasn't been on the radio recently, give me a call because I always need people to be on the radio.
Yes.
Talk to you guys. Talk to you guys all later. All right.
But you said radio. You interview like random. Anyone can be. Any inventor can join the radio podcast world.
We do Invent America Radio. All right, old-fashioned radio. And so on Saturday afternoon, we go out on about 50 different stations, coast to coast, and I get to pick the topic and the inventors to talk. And so we've been kind of focusing on all the inventors going to ASD. And, you know, as they get teed up and ready to go, Bill, raise your hand if you're ready to be on the radio. And so we get you to be able to talk about different questions in the process. And then, you know, it goes out there. It's free for the inventors to be on. And then we've got different industry experts. We've had Stephanie on today. We had Michael Miller, who's worked in the inventing, helping inventors license for decades. I've known him as long as, you know, I've been going to shows. But we'll get an industry expert on then to help. I know that Jeff and Noah both use, or Bill used Noah McNeely. He's one of our engineers. That is a sponsor for the show and an industry expert. So he's been on the show a couple of times. So he's excited to have his products at the show, even though he's not the inventor, he's the engineer. And they wouldn't be going if they didn't have Noah to do the products for them. So that's what we do. So when you are patent pending and you're ready to be on the radio, you let me know because Monday rolls around real fast.
Yes.
It's amazing. So Bill, you ready to be on the radio Monday?
Not the coming Monday.
Right then.
One day soon, but not the coming Monday. No.
I'll get you. I'm going to get you. Get you. All right, you guys, have a wonderful evening. I will talk to all of you later. Reach out and let me know if you need anything.
Good night, everybody. Stephanie.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.